Hey guys, thanks for joining me for making some dandelion paintings. I'm going to show you a couple of different techniques to enhance your pictures or just different ways to experiment and have fun expressing your artistic creativity and ability. All right, so I did put out some art kits out on the Boys and Girls Club front deck for you to use if you don't have some of the supplies. But in your art kit, we provided some paints. I have some little cups of paint. I have white, orange, yellow, and green because we are going to be doing dandelion painting. So dandelions are yellow and orange and then green and some white for blending and making some mixed up colors. Okay, so also in your art kit, I provided you with a couple of plastic forks, but please feel free to use some of your own forks at home because we are using watercolor paint, so the paint will wash off with soap and water. So I had a regular fork for my utensil drawer, but make sure you ask first too. And then also I provided you with a paintbrush and some crayons of dandelion colors and 5 or 6 pieces of paper in your bag to get you started. If you have other paper at home, maybe you have a mixed media or a watercolor paper at home that you want to use that's a little bit sturdier, feel free, or use up some of the paper that I provided you with. Either way, you're going to make a nice creation no matter what. So whatever paper you use. Okay, so I went out into my yard because I have a lot of dandelions in my yard right now, and I just picked a few from my yard and I was going to show you so that we can kind of get started on the designs and the how-to of to make dandelions. They're really easy to make. They're beautiful color yellow. So if you look at a dandelion closely, you will see there's many, many, many petals on a dandelion. They're just tiny, skinny little petals, but each of them look different. Some of them are more condensed, which means they're closer together. And the ones that I had didn't have very long stems yet. I guess it depends on the time of year when they start blooming, or I think they bloom all summer because I feel like I have dandelions in my yard year round. But they're just really pretty and they're so easy to make. All right, so the first technique I'm going to show you is just a simple one, and then we'll talk about how to enhance things and some other different methods and different ways, and I'm sure you'll have some amazing ideas on how to make them yourself using other materials or other painting techniques. Okay, so the basic one that I'm going to show you, it's very simple, using the fork and the paint that I provided in the art kit. All right, so I'm going to get my fresh piece of paper, and you can do the paper either horizontally or you can do it this way. Depends on, what's in your mind or your imagination for your painting. Okay, so first things first, please make sure you cover your workspace, ask permission or ask for help or ask for someone to join you in on this activity. All right, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do my paper this way. And I'm going to start with, obviously, the flower part. And I'm going to take my fork, and all I'm going to do is dip it into my paint. So it's just like the top part. Now, with this activity, it's not necessary to have so much paint and glob it on, because if you did it that way, then you might not be able to see the striations or the petals that we're going to be creating using this fork method. So just dip it in and then just find a spot on your paper where you want to start making some stripes. So I'm just kind of going with it. And there's enough paper there, and I'm a lefty and a righty, so I can do things ambidextrously, if that's a word, with both hands. And then this way my hand's not in the way either. But I'm just making a bunch of lines using the paint. And if you have paint already on your paper, you can still use your fork to spread that that paint out on your paper. And dip in the paint when you need more paint on there. All right, so I just got started with that. So I got started making that. Okay, so now sometimes the dandelions have darker colors of yellow, deeper colors of yellow, lighter, and sometimes even in the middle you can see some orange. I couldn't find any orangey ones out in my yard, but I have seen them. And so I just dipped my other fork and I just went like this, made kind of like polka dots in the center of my flower. Because normally it's the darker color is in the middle of the flower. Then I'm going back to my yellow fork, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one edge of the fork and kind of drag those little paint spots through the paint. So just the edge of the fork. So you're using just one prong of the fork. And you can do that too to make more lines and more exaggerated lines or longer lines, or to give it some texture. It makes it look almost more two-dimensional when you're tracing it through the paint. Okay, so you can keep doing that process over and over again until you're satisfied with your flower. And you can make your flower big, you can make your flower small, you can make it thin, you can make it thickly condensed, however you see the image in your mind or how it's coming out on your paper, however you're satisfied with that. Okay, so once I have that, I have my flower started, I'm going to take my paintbrush and I got to use my green paint, and I might mix a little bit of white paint too with mine. So I'm going to put some on another fork just so I don't mix up my colors, because you can have these paints for a while. So I'm just going to take it off of the edge of that fork, the white, and I'm just going to make a stem, and there you have it. There's one dandelion, and you can fill up your whole page making the dandelions. Okay, so there's another method that you can do when it's dry. So I made this one earlier, it's still wet. You can, after it's all dry, you can enhance your picture, or that means to add more details, you can use color pencils. I didn't put any color pencils in the art bags, but hopefully you might have some at home. But you can enhance your picture with the crayons that I gave you in your bag. So the bottom part of this is dry, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to maybe color and enhance and just draw some lines and make it almost like a mixed media project. Or you can do the grass on the bottom of your picture using your crayons, however you feel you want to have your picture turn out. Okay, so I like the idea of mixing different art supplies and different mediums to make a picture or to create any kind of art piece. Okay, so I'm going to put this over to the side. Then if you do have color pencils or the crayons that I provided, you can also do a drawing of a dandelion as well, because it's very easy. All you need to do are make lines and lines and lines and lines. If you want to look carefully at the dandelion, most of the petals are they're sort of rectangular, long skinny rectangles with a little bit of curve, so it's really easy to kind of replicate on your picture. So what I did before to make this one, this pencil one, is I just started drawing lines with a yellow pencil, and I just started fanning it out in a circle. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect, because if you look at the flowers that you might have picked outside to use as your model, they're not perfectly round, or they might be perfectly round, imperfectly, naturally round. Okay, so you don't have to necessarily make it be perfect or find something that's round and draw, a perfect circle. Okay, so I just started making like spiky things with yellow. Then I have a couple of shades of yellow, and then I added some other yellow, and then do the darkening on the inside. And then I also used some crayon, and I added the crayons. And I don't press too hard because it's not like a coloring book that you're coloring in specific lines or specific pictures. You're just creating the flower, and so you're just going to do it nice and lightly with the crayon. And then you can make the stem the same way. You can do pencils, or you can use the green crayons that I provided, and you can make cover your whole paper with the dandelions, or you can do a mixture of the painted fork dandelions and the pencil and crayon dandelions. Now, one more thing that you can do if you want to be absolutely crazy and have fun with this, and you like to do broad, big strokes instead of small, tiny details, I have a good activity for you here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fork that I use for my green paint, and I'm just going to start painting big stripes with this fork. Okay, I put too much paint on there, but there'll be enough on here to spread it around. I'm making almost like a grassy field, going crazy. Okay, so half of my paper, the bottom half, I'm going to make a grassy field. You drag your fork in and out all different directions, because you know how grass, sometimes people's lawns, or just if you see grass in the wild, it's kind of crisscrossy from the wind and just the way it grows. Okay, so I'm just making, it's kind of abstract. It's more abstract than kind of real life, like if you were to take a picture or to draw an exact replica of what you're trying to draw, like realism. This is not what we're trying to accomplish today. If you can accomplish realism and get some good, realistic drawings and sketches, feel free, because I know some of you out there are pretty talented and have a good eye for certain art techniques. So do what you want to do and have fun with it. Okay, so once I have my grassy field, you have an idea, and you can fill it up more and darker if you want. There's my grassy field, and then I'm just going to start making some stripes of the yellow, like where the yellow dandelions would be everywhere. And like I said, they don't have to be perfect, and they can just be splashes of color. Because sometimes I found my dandelions today kind of low-lying into my grass. I had to kind of pick a way to pick them out of the grass. They kind of had stems that were droopy like this, and they were laying down, resting in the grass. Okay, so that's all there is to it to make your more abstract picture. And then after that dries, you can always add little details using your crayons or your pencils, or if you have a nice set of paint brushes where you can add some extra details, you should experiment and go for it. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. If you have other paint colors, and you can add a sky, or anything else that you want in your picture. So that's the more bigger picture, more abstract picture that you can do. All right, so that concludes our lesson in dandelion painting. Have fun with it. And it's not just painting, remember, it's also using pencils and crayons and any other, if you have oil pastels or chalk pastels, you can do the same similar techniques using those art supplies. Okay, thanks so much for joining me, and remember to help clean up. And send me your pictures too, please. Doreen at nantucketboysandgirlsclub.org. I would love to see your pictures, and we put them up in the Boys and Girls Club website gallery. All right, talk to you again soon. Bye. Have a great day. Bye.